Hi guys, how are you? Welcome back to my new garden. Wishful thinking. That is my new house, by the way, not. And this is my friend Claudia. So what we do today is we're gonna do a little garden tour in a park just outside of Düsseldorf, where I already took you with me in winter time to explore how some nice winter structures are looking. I was looking for shrubs, for all those things. Found a hazelwitch back then, which was super exciting, and we are back again now. Alfie's with me as well, by the way. She's just like wandering around everywhere here. And we're here in this midsection of the garden. This is kind of like a formal area, so there is kind of like a banquet area. The castle is just on that side. And in your back there are different kind of flower beds with all different kind of perennials. Some already come to life. So what I want to do in today's video is again do a little tour here, just tour you through the garden and show you all those things that caught my attention, that I find interesting, and what I might think, maybe that is something I could incorporate into my garden as well. So I hope you're excited about today's video. Just to give you a quick idea where we are, so on this side, this is where the castle is, and that is the main castle. Over there, it's surrounded by some water, and if you swing around, you get to see this is kind of like an old English style landscape, so a lot of trees, and you really get to see how important it is that you have trees with all different kind of color foliage, especially the red ones in the back there. I think those are beeches, if I'm not wrong. And this is a formal garden area where I'm right now, so all different kind of flower beds with different perennials. In the back you see already something kind of like sulfur yellow. I guess that must be euphorbia. I'm absolutely going to show you in a second what it is. That definitely caught my eye, and you can tell some rhododendrons are in flower. And if you swing around, there is another shrub in white. So I'm just going to do a little tour and see whatever exciting I discover here. The white flowering shrub is a cornus, and it's absolutely beautiful. Just look at this airy texture and covered with all these white blooms. Remember last autumn I planted a cornus in the garden as well, but it's nowhere near to what this is. It doesn't even have a single leaf on yet. So seeing this, I'm like, all right, yeah, this is what it looks like when you are in a different climate zone. Underplanted with a carpet of forget-me-nots. So there is this beautiful drift of blue just meandering through this entire border here, all the way to the benches in the back there. And this definitely caught my attention just by the fragrance. It fills this entire area here. This is a tree peony. Unfortunately, there are no labels, so I can't tell you what variety it is. Even I wish I would knew what variety that is, because this is something where I'm like, ooh, that might be nice in the garden as well. Maybe on a slope next to the bench. Just imagine sitting there, not only enjoying these really beautiful, rich, dark color blooms, but also the fragrance, really beautiful. Perfect area for those two deck chairs just underneath the redbud. And if you remember, I planted a redbud next to the garden shed, and I'm so happy seeing this now. I feel really confident that I made a good right decision of planting a redbud there. And in that video, I told you the very special thing about redbud is that the flowers, they appear straight at the stem, at the heartwood. And this is how it looks like. And isn't that amazing? It's just covered in blooms, literally. First leaves are appearing, but I think this is really the spectacular thing about a redbud, that you have all of these beautiful flowers before the leaves are appearing, and then just the contrast with the shrub next to the castle, and here you get to see the water with a fountain on it. Not sure if you hear it in the background, but there are ducks as well. This is one of those other tiny court areas that you can find here in the garden, and I think this is rather special because in each corner you have these palm trees with a bench where you could just take a little rest. And what they've done really beautiful, I feel, is just a spring display. You can tell absolutely beautiful, dark, sinister looking tulips, and I'm 100% sure that this is Queen of Night. This is the tulip that I planted in containers together with you. They only show leaves so far, but can't wait for them to come to bloom. Really lovely with a white tulip in a combination, and again the carpet of blue just wafting through this entire plant combination. And there is something else that just caught my eye. To be fair, I have no idea what it is, but it is heavily scented. This entire court is filled with the sweet perfume of this one shrub. So I'll just give you a closer look. If you know what it is, just tell me. I kind of reckon these leaves though. I think this was called like orange blossom shrub or something, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, absolutely glorious scent, beautiful. I have a gut feeling that this is not right for a Baltic climate. This is the walk up to Alfie first, but this is also the walk up to that area where all the rhododendrons are in bloom. And actually I didn't really want to film it, but now seeing this is so beautiful. Carpet of white here. Really glorious, and all the way along into the woodland, so special. I think this is the first time that I ever visit this garden around this time of the year, I was only here in winter and then in summer and late summer quite often. So it is really intriguing to see this entire area in a complete different light of day. And if we walk up here, I think what works so special and so beautiful in this entire garden is all these textures. They have evergreens, but they have evergreens with a lot of different textures and colors. Like there's yellow in front of us, and then to the right there you see just opens up and you get to see all these rhododendrons and quite some really old specimens in there. Really huge ones, almost like a little forest made of rhododendrons, all shades of pink and blush white in the front, and then some in purple that are just about to come to bloom. Looks so different to when I showed you this entire area last time around. My parents also had rhododendron in their garden, but nothing compared to this, obviously. Look at that. I can only imagine how old these absolute beautiful varieties are. All these bare stems looking like twisted and really gnarly, and then topped by this ocean of pink on the top of it, just like pink clouds wafting through the skies. I think this is really beautiful. Big parts of the garden were just really beautiful garden. It's a park, let's face it. Just really lovely trees, just seeing all of these different canopies and colors and textures. Wonderful. The rhododendrons really left an impact on me. But big parts, that wasn't really worth taking a video there. There was a field with narcissi, but I think I'm here like a week or two too late because they were brown. They were a little crunchy, so this was not so nice. And now there is an area where we enter kind of like the garden. So these are like different garden rooms and they have different topics. So if you remember my last video, this is a Japanese garden here. And I already showed you in winter where it looked absolutely beautiful. But I think it's interesting to show you at this time of the year again, because the azaleas, they are in bloom and they really set the tone here now while they're watering. So every now and then you see, like, unfortunately, thick yellow tubes running through here, but that's all right. I think it's still going to be very interesting just to show you this area second time around. So this is the Japanese garden with Claudia in the back. She's waving a little bit already. And I talked you through already the concept in my winter video. So it really represents what the typical Japanese garden is about. You have these big patches of gravel. Normally they should be raked over. They're absolutely not. But they're watering at the moment, so you have all of the water hose running through here. But what is so wonderful now this time of the year, obviously you get to see all these beautiful foliage, textures and colors. So all the acers are in their prime right now. And this is such a difference to winter, because in winter you only had those conifers that set the tone. And if you swing around, you get to see all the azaleas are in bloom as well, which is really just a lovely pop accent of color. It works so different to how I garden when you have big patches and drifts full of color. Here you really have all these textures. You have the stones as an element, then you have these slopes, you have the gravel, the evergreens, the bamboo in the back, and then just hints of color sprinkled throughout this entire garden area. It's very serene and tranquil, just the perfect location to take a little break and a rest. It's another very beautiful vista of the Japanese garden into the other garden rooms. And last time around when we were here, the pond was empty, so there was no water in here. On the left, there is a bamboo forest. And again, absolute amazing acer. They sell those acers actually here. There was another one at the main entrance that I'm going to show you in a second. I also intend on showing you the price tag, so brace for impact. I was quite shocked for how much money they sell those. And the bamboo walk, still beautiful. Claudia likes it, right? Do you enjoy the bamboo walk? Yes. She doesn't have a mic. I'm only the person that has a mic. But this is absolutely a magical, very whimsical momentum when you walk through here. It's all different kind of bamboos, and there is a play with light and shadow and just exploring this entire area. And I think this is what makes it rather beautiful. And at one point you just turn around and walk through all of the greenery, and then suddenly it opens up and you are in the middle of this Japanese garden again with these big poles here, and then the stone walk through the gravel. Again, hints of color from the azaleas on both sides. And then on the right, there is a pond with this beautiful red acer. I really enjoy this garden. I would never have a Japanese garden on my own, but I just love spending time here and just really taking all of it in. Matching the theme of visiting the castle today, there is a little garden room called My Home is My Castle, and that garden room is flanked by these massive, huge yew hedges, and on each side of the entrance there is one of these big cubes here. They're looking really nice and crisp, and if you enter there is another wisteria. Obviously I love wisteria, a blue one, and I hope it is scented. Yeah, coming closer to it, you can really tell that there is a beautiful scent. Unfortunately, a lot of the garden rooms here, they are lacking a little bit maintenance at one point. You know, the wisteria is absolutely beautiful and the water is really nice here. There is, again, another white shrub. I think this is some sort of jasmine. But then, well, I suppose this is really good for wildlife though. Let's just face it, probably a lot of wild meadow flowers are about to come. I hope at least they are. But the lovely thing is, not sure if you can hear it in the background, there is a sound of frogs in here, which is beautiful. And there is Alfie just peeking through the gate. She's always having an eye on where I am. But in general, I think the best part of this garden literally is this really beautiful wisteria here with these blue flower spikes cascading down. What a wonderful idea for a seating area in general. This is one of the formal kitchen garden areas of the park garden here, and you can tell that there are apples on both sides flanking the entryway, and in the center there are those massive cardoons. I really love them for the color of the foliage, the texture that they bring. Last year I collected cardoon with Claudia actually in the botanical gardens in Düsseldorf. No, not last year, the year before it was. And last year they were thriving in the garden, nowhere near to this amazing size that they are thriving in here. But the winter at the Baltic Sea is just too cold and too wet, so I think just one made it through winter in the end. But I think if you can grow them, definitely a wonderful structure for your garden. This is the angle stepping out of the formal kitchen garden area, and then there is this square that opens up and you have these tables here. And I remember last time around I was standing in a different area and they only had one of those, and I showed you them because I thought, oh, what a wonderful idea to have a dinner table with a planting hole in the middle so you could really plant it up with seasonal colors always changing, and I feel it works so well here. Isn't that just an amazing impact? Imagine having dinner on this table, and you don't need to put any flower bouquets or anything on it because the flowers are planted in your table. This is really one of my lovely favorite ideas, and Claudia already takes a rest over there. And if we just look around, this is, oh, who doesn't love it? Hardly. Absolutely beautiful. The garden is just way too small to ever consider a Hartley in our garden. But obviously whenever I see it, my heart skips a beat because they just have this elegance to it. They're so effortless. And this is the big kitchen garden of the castle here, where they already started planting up a lot of the crops, kind of like, I think, broccoli or cauliflower, one of those, definitely the leaf structure. And on the other side, you can tell salad crops are looking already fantastic, and probably cabbages in here. I also grow cabbages. There are labels though. I can show you exactly what it is. This is, oh, brassica. Also nice. Never grown this one. Look at those. I just love in what dimension they plant everything here. So later on in the year, they're going to be really nice. And there's a blackbird sitting there, not shy in the slightest. This is really such an inspirational place of the garden for all different reasons, because normally I'm always kind of like, ooh, flowers and blooms, but here you can always see how different kind of crops are growing, how they're performing, do they have problems with pest in here, and this is why I really love and enjoy visiting this garden at different times of the year. This is one of those areas where you can buy some of the plants here, and some of which they are surprisingly, I don't want to say cheap, but at least not crazy expensive. Like this yew here really has a decent size, and it cost 200 euros almost. So I was like, okay, this is not like too scary. But here we go, there is a red acer, and to be fair, it is a stunner. This is an absolute beauty. Hope you get to see the trunk in the back of there. So that is definitely quite an old specimen. And I checked the price tag earlier the day. And what do you guess? You still have a moment to figure how much you think it is. It is literally almost 7,000 euros. For one tree. Oh my, if that is going to be the victim of a harsh winter. You guys, that is it for today's video, and I'm gonna finish here with my new Acer in the backdrop. Just kidding, I haven't bought it. Can you imagine spending that much money on an Acer? That poor thing would have the shock of its life, and how would I ever take it with me back to Gdansk, Poland? But hope you enjoyed it. I really thought it was very interesting to come back to this garden and also to show you how it looks in a different time of the year. Maybe when I'm back here in summer, I'll do another episode so you can also see how this garden, or park basically, it's not a garden, let's face it, changes over the season. I think we had a good time. Right, Claudia, did we have a good time here?
Right.
Claudia says right. Claudia says, yeah, it was a good time here. So what we're going to do now is we head back to Düsseldorf. We're in late afternoon. So by the time that we're in Düsseldorf, we maybe have a little gander through town and then go out for dinner with Alfie. I have snacks and everything with me for her. So I just want to say thank you so much for hanging out with me today again. And I would love to welcome you in my garden in one of my videos very soon again. Take care, guys. Bye.